The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary Related Entertainment.
Aloha and welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where you'll find us talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out how they're working to support the needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, please stop by Pacific Source's cabinet and appliance showroom located in the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. During this hour, we share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those with needs. And today we're going to start off the show talking with, what did I do? I mixed them up. Sorry, Danielle.
That's fine.
Danielle Bergen, who's the Maui, coordinator?
Community coordinator.
Community
Mental Health
coordinator.
America of Hawaii.
Okay, so for the Mental Health America of Hawaii's Maui branch, it seems like this subject comes up, well, I know it comes up once a year because this is the Suicide Prevention Month, but we talk about it more often than once a year because it has such prominence. I mean,
unfortunately, yeah.
It's just, I can't, there's certain things you hear that just make sense, and then there's other things you hear that you just wonder, what in the world is going on? And suicide is something I don't think I can ever understand.
It's hard to understand, and there's so many contributing factors. There just isn't one answer. It really is a compilation of events, things that happen in your life. There's possibilities of being affected by mental illness or substance use. It's peer pressure, bullying. There's all kinds of risk factors that are out there, and it usually just isn't one item or one thing.
And I think the thing that really gets me is that it touches all ages.
It does. In actuality, in the state of Hawaii, from the age of 11 to 64, suicide is the number one cause of death, besides accidents, besides drownings. So accidental death or death of that manner, it's the number one cause. It goes across all groups.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, is there a more men or women, or is it kind of split, or?
I don't have that
get
exact statistic, Susie. To be honest with you, I know that I believe that there was, over the course of the last 4 years, 926 death by suicide in the state of Hawaii. On a national level, I think it's pretty well divided, but it's not a statistic that I have at my hands.
That's pushing 250 people a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 a week.
It's actually, I believe, we spoke with Jenny Bissell of the Department of Health. I think it's 1 every 2 days in the state of Hawaii.
Wow.
But the good thing is, right now, we're talking about it. You and I are talking about it. We're on the air. People are listening to this. And suicide is such a thing, the same with mental illness, with that stigma, that it's a subject that no one wants to talk about. And, we see things that have happened, with people that have some notoriety or fame, that have taken their lives. Or it could just be your neighbor or someone who you went to church with, and you don't really know the story, right? You don't really know what happened in their life.
Right.
And I think if we can start to talk about suicide and start to talk about some of the risk factors and some of the warning signs and educate people about these, then we can have that conversation with that friend or loved one, that we can get down to asking them, is everything okay in your life? I've noticed a few things been going on with you. I've noticed You've really been pulling away. You've been isolating. Your mood's been kind of fluctuating. You're not the same person that we, used to seeing. And I just love you as a friend, and I want to know, is everything okay? Are you thinking of taking your life? Are you thinking of suicide? And it's a hard question to ask. But once you have noticed somebody and recognized warning signs, and this is over a period of time, asking the question will not heighten the risk of someone doing it.
I was going to say, wasn't that one of the things years ago that people said, oh, don't say it because you'll give them the idea?
Yeah. They actually, I think people, when asked and maybe asked twice, would almost be relieved to talk about it, because I think innately we all want to live.
I get the feeling that suicide is not a sudden decision.
No.
People really think about it.
Yeah, there's it's ideation. People have thought about it. People, it's been in the mind, and ideation's common. Sometimes it's just if you got some bad stuff going on in your life, and you just go, oh man, maybe I should just do myself in instead of trying to face all this. It can be kind of a common thought with a lot of people, and it's just that it's fortunately not a thought that is acted on. But yes, it's not really a sudden decision. There may be something that is a trigger,
right,
that triggers everything, and there's a big difference between risk factors and triggers. And let me just give you an example. So risk factors are things that are present in an individual's life, right, that might put them at risk for suicide. Okay, so some of the risk factors might be prior suicide attempts, or maybe somebody who was in their family who had taken their life, depression, or maybe being affected by some other mental health concerns, or maybe being diagnosed with a mental illness, drugs or alcohol use. So you have substance use. Could have family problems, ongoing family problems, maybe a recent loss or a death. Maybe you've been, gone through a divorce, or maybe your husband or wife has died, or a child has died. Exposure to violence, right? Stress, anxiety, perfectionism, even risk factors, heightened risk factors of trauma, and sometimes trauma that goes back to PTSD maybe, or even a trauma of a hurricane, right? Or people raises anxiety. So if your mental wellness wasn't as good as it normally would be, or maybe you're having some of these problems already, having that extra anxiety or trauma of losing your home, having your home burn, or being flooded out, things of that nature. These are things totally out of our control that can heighten risk factors as well.
Interesting. And now we've just been through one of those.
We have.
We don't, I guess, it doesn't, so, I don't know how to say this. It's, you got that right, that sentence. That was a good one, huh?
Recorded.
Yeah. Oh, good. We don't see this around us because we're not looking for it. Or we're trying to, everything's fine. Most people want to think that life is as good for you as it is for me.
Sure.
And so if you were to show some signs that you've just talked about, the average person isn't going to notice them, are they?
The average person might not notice them if they don't know about them, right? They can't put two and two together.
There you go.
Usually, and part of the reason, with Suicide Awareness Month, so we're trying to raise awareness. That's why we're talking about warning signs, and it's generally with people that, are usually closest to you. So these are the people that you can really notice. And if someone's change of behavior, if you're a friend of someone, and you might notice over a period of time that they're just not themselves anymore. If they're very outgoing and they're very upbeat, over a prolonged period of time. And that's what a lot of times what we talk about, depression. Depression can be, a major factor of a risk factor for suicide. But depression, usually happens, over an extended period of time. Right. So if you see somebody who's been suffering that way, have normal conversations with them. People, we think about ourselves all the time. I mean, really, when you think about it, you get up in the morning, you're thinking about what you're going to do, you're going to work. And usually it's us that are on our mind most of the time, right?
Right.
but you interact with so many people. You have people that are loved ones. You have people that are friends. So if you can start to recognize some of these factors, such as depression, and depression really is something that lasts for more than 2 weeks. I mean, we're all down sometimes. We're all sad at times. We all got some stuff going on at work and things like that. And if we don't have any good, mental wellness tools like going out and having fun, jumping in the ocean, going surfing, having some good support that way, then we can tend to stay in that area. So hopefully what we're talking about today is just going to give you, the average person, the tools to be able to see some things over an extended period of time and then have that conversation with someone you love.
So what I'm hearing that it's time for us to quit being so self-centered and start paying attention to those around us.
I think so. It's always good to help people.
That's kind of the simple version, I think, of the whole thing. But the reality is a lot of us do just kind of go through life. We see people on a regular basis. We see certain people at some meeting. We have a group at church that we kind of mingle with. But we don't often take the time to really talk to them.
True. And I think, too, there's that stigma that's out there, the same stigma that's with mental illness that is like, I'm fine, I don't need help. How are you today? I'm fine. Right? How often do you hear that? Everyone, oh, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. Are you really good? Are you really fine? Or are you just figuring, I'm not going to even bother to talk about it because this person probably doesn't want to know, right? That's the way most of us are, right?
That's true.
But asking for help is such a key thing, too. And that's another part of the thing that we want to get rid of that stigma with, is that it's okay to ask for help. We want to let people know it's okay to ask for help. If you're having problems with drugs or alcohol, if you're just depressed over a longer period of time, it's okay to reach out to a good friend or whatever and just chat or just talk, right?
Well, yeah, and for some people, maybe that's the hardest thing, is to talk
Sure.
to a good friend about a problem that's going on in your life, because you don't want them to know.
Right, exactly.
And then who do you turn to?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got if you have any kind of faith-based component in your life, right? If you're going to church, you have ministers, you have lots of good people out there that are always willing to listen. Even the Crisis Line of Hawaii, right? That's out there. It's 24/7. You can always reach out to that. You look at your own. If you really thought, well, geez, maybe I really do need to talk to somebody, and you have health insurance. If you're working, you have health insurance. So you get your formulary and your health insurance, you start looking up who are the psychologists, who are the psychiatrists that maybe I could call and reach out to. There's us at Mental Health America. Give us a call. We'll try to help you navigate, the maze that's out
Right.
there in Maui and give you some ideas and give you some numbers. The Maui Community Mental Health Center. There's really a lot of resources on Maui, but it's just that ability to pick up that phone, which is sometimes very hard, and reach out and talk to somebody.
But some people look at that and they say, oh, that's giving in to it. I can get over it myself.
Well, I mean, there's certain things that put it this way, I think the biggest stigma for mental illness, right, is that I can get over this myself, or there's really nothing wrong with me. I'm okay, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at things where, if you have something that's starting to cloud your judgment on things and you're wondering why you're thinking about these crazy things sometimes, or you're having some really high highs in energy sometimes and then some really low lows, and this is just starting to come on, there's likely some kind of anxiety or something, and I'm not diagnosing anything. There's just something that might not be quite right. Now think about it. If you're sick for 4 or 5 days in the winter and you're continuing to get sick and you're throwing up and you got a fever, likely you're going to have the flu. And what are you going to do? You're going to call the doctor and you're going to go there because you've tried to get rid of it on your own and you can't. And now you have to go out and you have to get help. Well, the same thing with mental illness, right? It sometimes is, when it was explained to me, and years ago on a personal note, I suffered from depression, chronic depression. And once it was made clear to me that it was like I had the flu of the mind, and now because I'm addressing the flu of the mind, I'm reaching out and talking to a therapist, I'm getting that help, right?
Right.
And so once I could equate that it really wasn't me. It was something that was going on within me, and a lot of other contributing factors which led to that chronic depression. I was able to finally get some help. And so that's why sometimes people take a day off. They just can't face it. They just, they may be telling themselves, well, I'm not sick, but I just can't face going into work today, and I'm just not feeling good and whatever. You got a little bit of that mind flu right there, and they try to beat themselves up. I should be able to handle this, but you know what? It's okay not to be able to handle it.
Right.
There's people that will help.
Right. We're only human.
We're only human, right? And
That's right.
we were talking about risk factors. Sometimes there's those triggers, right?
Right.
That'll happen.
And I'm gonna stop you right there, and we'll get into those right after we come back from the break.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk to our nonprofit executives to find out what's going on in their world. And today we started the show with Danielle Bergen, who is the branch
Community coordinator.
community coordinator. See, I can't do that.
That's okay. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you out. I'm
There
here to
you
give you
go.
some help.
There we go. That's exactly what we're talking about. Mental Health America of Hawaii, the Maui branch community coordinator. Just before the break, we were getting ready to start talking about risk factors, and talking about how we need to listen to the people we know.
Right.
So often we don't. We just, hi, how are you? Fine, everything's okay. Oh, good. And then we go on. But reality says take 2 minutes to talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
reach out.
amazing what you can learn.
Reach out. And, we had talked about the risk factors before, and then we were looking at, some triggers that might help.
Triggers, right.
That might trigger something, right? And usually it's an event that is like a breakup or a problem with the relationship. Maybe it's bullying or cyberbullying. Maybe it's like you recently moved and you feel all alone and no one's there. Major changes in your life circumstances. And, part of what Mental Health America of Hawaii, we have the Youth Bullying and Suicide Prevention Project. And so the trainings that we have address bullying prevention and suicide prevention and raising awareness. I'm excited to say that we're getting into some of the schools now. We're actually doing a training this afternoon at one of the schools. And this is for middle school or intermediate school and high school. And I have several that I contacted over the summer, and I have a few already on the schedule for this fall. So we're really hoping to get maybe 500 or 600 people trained between now and the end of the year. And we want to get them in touch with, what is bullying and how, the types of it and how you handle things of this situation. And then getting in and seeing it, transitioning it to the suicide prevention. And bullying is not a cause of suicide. There's no causal relation there, but it is a heightened risk factor. And so we take the youth through this, and we take adults when we have an adult training, and we take them through this. And, we teach them that awareness, and we teach them the warning signs of suicide and then the risk factors that are involved with it, and then how to give support even after it happens. But we really focus on, a lot, too, with the youth towards the end of the presentation, okay? And we talk about that listen, ask, tell, right? That, all that you've talked about the risk factors, you've seen those changes in your friend, You maybe listen to some of those warning signs in your head that you're looking at somebody about, and then you sit down and you talk to your friend if you're really worried about them. If their friend has talked about maybe suicide, just talked about it out loud to you, mentioned it to you, that's a person who's at risk. Or another big warning sign that puts them close to risk, or if they're giving away some of their favorite possessions to their favorite people, because they want you to have them, because they care and love about, and they care about you and they love you as a friend. But that's a big trigger. That means that they're close. That if they've been sad and they've been despondent, and then all of a sudden now their mood completely switches and they're happy, and everything's good, and they seem like they're coming back to normal. That's another big warning sign, because maybe they've already made their plan and set a date for when they're going to do it. All these things, if they start happening, or if you start to see that in someone that you love, sit them down and ask them that ever important question: are you okay? Are you thinking of taking your life? I really care about you. I really love you. You're my brother, you're my sister, you're one of my best friends. You mean a lot to me. Are you thinking of taking your life?
Interesting. So that's it. You kind of get to that calm where, like you said, they've made their decision. They know how they're going to do it, when they're going to do it, kind of thing. And so this is just the peace or calm before the storm, so to speak,
right?
For the event. It's not that that whatever was out of whack has come back into place, and they feel comfortable with life again. It's usually the other way.
It's usually the other way.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do here is to just raise your awareness, right? Suicide Awareness Month. These are things, and you can ask that tough question. And if it gets to there, then you would say to them, if you keep them talking and say, do you have a plan, or is it something you're going to do today? When we tell the youth, we talk to them and we say, tell a teacher, tell an adult, tell a coach, tell somebody, get some help. Don't leave someone alone. And if you really fear for their life at that moment, you can either text or you can call 911. Because we tell folks it's better off, and even if they get mad about that, it's better off to have a friend who's mad at you and still alive than to have you not do any action to try and help save them. So really a big part of this is empowering youth to let them know that they can actually make a difference in someone's life and help saving someone's life, and get along better without having to bully each other as well.
Right. Now we talked earlier about the statistics and the numbers of suicides that are completed, but you also have the folks who try and don't finish the job, I guess.
Well, yeah.
Not a tactful way of saying it.
No,
but
it's not. And we talk about safe messaging as well. That's not quite the way we'd want to say
no,
this.
I don't.
Or, so safe messaging is important, as well. When you see newspaper articles, not talking about the method or what happened or how they did it, not trying to figure out what happened. But it's better when you have those articles to just say, that they died by suicide, or it's better to provide some risk factors or some warning signs to people, give them something to go on that they can help in the future, instead of trying to tell that story and telling them how they did it. It's better to put a picture of them that was in there, is how they were prior to.
If they didn't succeed, do they turn around and get help, or?
Well, this whole thing is about helping them get help. So that's,
and you want to catch them before they try. That's the whole point.
Well, exactly. But, prevention can happen anywhere along the line. So this is what we're trying to do, is to help them get help,
Gotcha.
Right, with suicide prevention, to get them to talk. And a lot of times once the police have stepped in, once 911s, they go for an evaluation. They're usually capping us in like over in Maui. It might be the Molokini ward. It might be wherever. But they'll get that evaluation, and they'll get, hopefully the family knows what happens. Everyone knows what happened. They'll go on to try and get help. We want to say that everybody will, but that's just not the case, right?
Right.
But for a lot of people, it's a life-changing event where they realize the value of who they are, and it's okay to ask for help. And now we can start addressing it with counseling and maybe a diagnosis. Maybe they do have some kind of mental health problem that they can get help with. So, but I know we're running out of time. Let me
Yep.
just give you 2 quick numbers. The
Okay.
crisis line of Hawaii, for Maui and Outer Islands, it's 800-753-6879. It's 24/7. And then there's also the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Again, 1-800-273-TALK or 273-8255.
Very good. Very good. I'm always left speechless when we talk about this subject, because it's something that, as we're talking, I think back over my life, and do I know anyone who attempted or who succeeded in doing this act? And I know, I guess the people I know are not the people who committed suicide, but they're the family and friends that are left, wondering why, what should we have done? What should we have seen? And what you're doing is trying to get out there to tell these people, you're right, there were some things you should have seen.
Well, we don't want to put
and
it that
heard.
way,
Well,
Tom.
okay.
We don't
Straighten
wanna
me
say
out.
there's-
I get really
We don't want to
tough.
say there were some things you should have seen, or we don't want to say you were successfully completed suicide. I mean,
Okay.
these are safe messaging things I was talking about
Okay.
that we don't want to say.
Okay.
But after, postvention, it really affects not just the family, but it affects the friends, the schoolmates, the classmates,
Right.
the woman down at Minute Stop who you went in to buy your chicken at. They know you and they were there for you. So postvention sometimes is just going in and listening and talking to the family, trying to be there, trying to, console them, trying to, be there for them. There's such a great community that's around. So you can do a lot in postvention just by being there and listening and loving them, right?
Right.
In prevention, everything that I've mentioned here today, that's what we're doing. And even Mental Health America now has a great new app called Kokua Life, Kokua, Kokua Life.
Yeah.
You can download it for free on from any app store, from an iPhone or an Android, and it's got all kinds of great local suicide prevention material in there on what to do and what to ask and how to ask it. And it's got great community resources, not just for Maui, but for the entire state, island by island, related to
that's
suicide
great.
prevention.
That's great. Okay, so folks, for those of you out there, you've heard me say all the wrong things here in the last 10 minutes. And I think that's normal. We don't
It
know
is.
what
You
to
don't
say
know.
and how to say
You
it.
don't know.
And so I've learned so much. Will I remember it? I hope. Will I have need for it? I hope not. But should I? Here I am. And I know who to call now to get some updates on what to do, how to do it.
Yep.
And so I hope those of you who are listening caught some of these vital pieces of information and can help someone in their time of need. Danielle, thank you so much
Thank you, Susie. Thanks for having me on.
for what you've done for me and for everybody out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Second half of the show, we're going to talk with Paul Tonneson, who works... Oh, gee. Oh, gosh. Okay, well...
Gary's trying to fly out of me.
What do you want, Gary? What's going on here? It's just,
Crowd was following.
He's my one and only fan club.
I see.
He's the president.
He's the
And
president.
and the only member.
And the only member. Gotcha. Wow. Okay, on that note, Friends of the Children's Justice Center, and I know that bullying is one of the big things that you guys confront on an almost daily basis.
Correct. Yes.
And you kind of fit in here with what Danielle's talking about, and I think you guys are going, this training session you're both going to be there.
Yes, Paul's actually one of our youth suicide and bullying prevention instructors.
Yes. So I'll be running out of here and heading up to Makawao
Yeah.
as soon as we're done with this.
Gotcha. So, I know that's one of the things you probably wanted to talk about today a little bit.
Yep. Bullying definitely for sure.
And so, while if you want to get into some of that, let's just jump right in.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's it's funny because we've talked about this on the show before. A lot of times, what I look at is collaboration is key, and we have we talk about this all the time, hence why we have this radio show that exists through the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. It's really important to make sure you have all the resources to deal with the populations you're dealing with. And that's where collaboration comes in. You know, Danielle and I going up to the school today, and we have 4 other individuals that are going to assist us that were trained. It's important to get the message out to these children, the effects of bullying, you know, that they can have on them, you know, and focus on the behavior. And I've talked about this before. A lot of the bullies themselves are in some pretty traumatic situations in life, and that's their reaction to it. So, you know, you've got to also look for the underlying cause of a behavior, of why, and maybe make some of the students understand that this child's also struggling. You and I talked about this. We did anti-bullying videos that are online with the friends, and one of the boys that participated, they were made by bullies. And they're so powerful. Judge Healy uses them. She uses them in the schools. She just went over to Molokai and addressed it with the elementary schools with the videos. And one of the boys talks about how he looks so good and my clothes are nice and I'm popular. And he goes into this whole thing, and he is, and he's describing himself, you know. But then he goes right into saying, which aligns with, you know, Danielle being on the first half of the show, no one knows this, but I just want to die because I'm the victim of a bully. So it's a self-admitted bully who was being bullied at home, you know. So again, you know, there's a lot of backdoor things that are happening in children's lives, and by doing those videos, every child that participated on those videos said they were sorry, said that I wish someone had stopped me. I wish I could find that person and say I'm sorry. You know, so it's addressing a behavior. So that goes back into collaboration. We're going to go and do a presentation up country at 1:30, but also, what about the bullies? What's wrong?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
And if we can get some preventive measures in there, you know what I mean, to assist them with whatever that underlying cause is for the behavior, and, you know, I think Danielle probably touched on that, right? Addressing and focusing on the behavior. It helps because you're going to find that there's something traumatic in their lives that could lead to suicide, you know. And I'd like to find that out, you know. It just clicked into my head. Bullies. How many of them are self-harming? How many of them, because I think they are mentally self-harming themselves because they can't be happy with the behavior. Do you know what I mean?
right. So I'm hearing you saying that bullying is not about the victim. I mean, it is, obviously, ultimately.
Right. They're ultimately the victim of the behavior.
But it's not a particular person. They would bully whoever was there in front of them at a time and a place where this is coming out of the person doing the bullying.
Well, as Danielle was touching on earlier, you know, we're not trained therapists. We're, you know,
right.
We're intervention or prevention. To me, yeah, there's something going on with the bully, and hence the behavior. And I think it's always on someone weaker than them. So take this young man in the video. He couldn't defend himself against his father, but then he took that behavior and brought it into school on people he could overpower.
Right.
On that. So, yeah, I mean, it's sad because I worked for a whole year on a project with these bullies to create these videos, and when I found out what was going on in their lives, it was horrific, you know. And I think it's funny because when their lives out of control, it's a way of, to me personally, again, and it's not a medical or psychological or whatever, to me, it's an empowerment to them to make them feel strong.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the way I look at it, you know. But the effects of their behavior is suicide.
Right.
Or self-harm by the victims. So, you know, it really spiders out But see, I'm always looking at, and Susie, you and I have talked about this before, looking beyond the behavior for the cause of the behavior.
Right.
That's important to me. Why is a child angry?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Or why is a child doing this? Or why is a child drunk at 8 years old? What is a child trying to run away from? What is he trying to escape? And we're finding out that there's a traumatic event that they can't deal with. So,
And sometimes it can be a one-time event or an ongoing thing.
right.
Just
We don't
depends.
know. Right.
Don't know.
They could have
Yeah.
been molested as a child, and they don't know how to process it healthy because, and again, a lot of this stuff touches on what Danielle was talking about, getting the proper care, getting someone they can trust to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And disclosing it. I'm working with a young man through family court, drug court, and, there was some trauma in his life that he's never talked to anyone about, but so he's turned to drugs and alcohol. But now he's dealing with the trauma, and he's doing amazing. He's a new person.
Did he remember that had happened?
Yes, he
Or
just
did
would,
it
he
come out?
swore he would never talk about it in his entire life. So, but he found people because he sought help that could walk him to that stage through the underlying cause without pushing him on it. That he felt confident enough that he could build trust and have a conversation about it. And that's the healing point from there on.
Yeah. Ooh, on that note, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with our nonprofit executive directors to find out how they are helping those with needs in our community. And we started out the show today with Danielle Bergen from the Mental Health America of Hawaii Maui branch as the community coordinator. Got that right, didn't I, Gary? Okay. And now in the second half of the show, we're talking with Paul Tonneson, who's executive director of the Friends of the Children's Justice Center. Now, relate to us the Friends of the Children's Justice Center and how you get it's kind of an arm's length to get into the bullying and the suicide and all these other things, given the name of the organization you work for.
Right. And it's pretty funny because we have part of our mission is to prevent child abuse and neglect. It's a big part of our mission. And then to provide assistance and support for the children to heal that have been victims of child abuse and neglect. And what we found out about 5-6 years ago, we were talking about the anti-bullying videos. I was asked to assist with an alternative school for children with behavior issues, let's say, was the majority of the population. And they asked me, because I used to teach anger management at Parents and Children Together back in the late 90s, early 2000s, could I talk to the children about anger? And I just looked at the director and said, no. I said, I'm not going to go to a room full of angry kids and tell them I'm there to talk about their anger. I said, I'd like to take a more diplomatic approach to it. And I thought about it, and I volunteered once a week, teaching a class every Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And I said to the first class, I asked them all, I said, we're going to work on a project. I explained what the Friends do. We try to prevent child abuse and neglect. And I said, I want you guys to help me out so we can have some material to use for our prevention efforts. So I'd like to make anti-bullying videos. And right away, but I'm a bully, you know, all of them. Right. But I valued that. I actually walked up to one of them and I said, great, because you have a lot of knowledge that I need to help with this project. And he was just taken back. He just sort of looked at me like, what? Right?
Yeah.
But I did value who he was
Right.
as a person, right? You're a self-identified bully. Okay, so can you help me with this project? And these kids got into this project. Like I said, it's on the Friends website, mauicjc.org, the videos, and I think it's on our Facebook page, Friends of the Children's Justice Center in Maui. But we worked for a whole year on this project, educating them the effects of bullying. We watched videos, we watched documentaries, and at the end of the year, we put it all into a video, three separate short videos to use for our prevention efforts. And when you listen to them, like I said earlier, every one of them, I wish I hadn't done it. I wish they had stopped me. I wish I could find that person, you know. And a lot of them told their own stories in roundabout ways, some of them. But one boy comes and literally says that he wanted to die because no one knows this, but I'm the victim of a bully. And he talked about the charade he was putting on in his life, that everyone thinks his life is so cool, but it's not. So, again, we have victims of bullying, but, you know, we're up to teach prevention, you know, in a little while at one of the schools, but at the same time, who's helping the bullies? Right? We're addressing it as a bad thing, right? Which it is. I mean, there's no two ways about it. But why is this behavior coming out of a young child? They're not taught to be cruel. You know, they're not taught to be so heartless that they're typing, why don't you just kill yourself, which is happening. You know, why don't you just die? No one likes you. There's some pretty strong messages to these children. Last week, there was a woman that went national, and her boy came out. And I want to say he was 9 or 10 over the summer to her. And she had a long time during the summer so telling him how much love and support he had and that everything was going to be okay. And then he went back to school out of the closet and all hell broke loose. And he wound up taking his life.
Oh, no.
And, you know, it's just, who's teaching these kids how to be that cruel? They're learning it. It's not, do you know what I'm saying? Acceptance and love. A child, when you have a baby, you know, and I know this with my niece. I watched my niece's infant since she was born all the time. You know, that child doesn't know to judge and have prejudice and whatever. I mean, so again, where is the behavior coming from? You know, who is teaching them it's okay to be this way or to treat people this way to the point of death? I don't think they realize, I don't think they're intentionally realizing that this child is actually going to follow through with what they're telling them, but you never know where someone is.
Right.
And I don't care if you're a child or an adult. I always say it. Be kind to people. You just don't know where they are or what they're going through. You know, today could be their last day because of something you said or did, especially now with all this Facebook wars.
Oh, gosh, yes.
You know, I mean, Friends. I'm watching Friends for 50 years just telling each other to, I won't use the language, right? But I'm just saying that's so sad that where did this hostility get created on something that was supposed to be for social media? It was for me to go look at my friends' grandkids and the kids graduating from college. And so, you know, for us, the Friends, the message is we want these kids to understand the feelings and have empathy for the behavior that some of them are using. And they do. As long as you teach them in the right way. Because discipline doesn't work. We're a punitive country. These kids are probably getting worse than whatever you're going to do to them at home.
Right.
Or somewhere, right?
Somewhere, yeah.
Right. So you have to come to court once a month and, okay, And they probably have water there. They might have snacks, right? Something the kids might not be getting. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
It doesn't work, but empathy does. For me, take a holistic approach. And there's a panel that I belong to with the judges and the prosecutors and the police and the DOE. It's called Kuliki, and we meet quarterly in the courthouse about taking a different approach and more of a holistic approach to these children and getting to the root of the cause of the behavior instead of the punitive action. And Maui County is doing a great job. The police department has the POI project, Positive Outreach Intervention, where first-time offenders get to go through a program and they get educated about the behavior. They get therapeutic care. Then they found out, all well and good, but the child is going back to the environment. How do we address that? So they came up with the CALO program, which they're bringing the whole family in, and they're educating the entire family, which is great.
Yeah.
And it's not, these people, it's just no one's taken the time to educate them about the environment, because that environment to them is normal.
Right.
It's multi-generational. This is what happens, and it's acceptable. But society's like, no,
Right.
it's not. But for them,
Right.
it is.
Right.
They haven't seen anything different. So, I praise Maui Police Department that, for them to be able to expose the family to some healthy alternatives in life. The Friends are big supporters of both of those programs because it's definitely preventing child abuse and neglect, and is getting to the root of the causes of the behavior in some of these children.
You're trying to put yourself out of work?
I'd love to. That's our vision statement. Free of child abuse and neglect. To
Right.
see Maui County free of it. Is it reality? No, but it's a great vision to have.
And stopping the cycle is the only way to do that.
Right. Breaking the cycle, which we did a program 4 years ago, and then we did Journey to New Beginnings about a year and a half ago, and that is taking 2 days and teaching children empathy, discipline, courage, and wisdom. But it's really to empower them when there's lack of parenting, that they have a voice, and it works. We've had some amazing success with these youth that go through this, and we're getting ready to push it even further. My board president, Sheila Haynes, she's just an amazing person anyways, but it's so near and dear to her, this program, and we want to share it. It goes back to collaborating. We want to give it to other agencies. We don't want money for it, but we want to make sure that it can go out and they can take that component that they're missing and give the kids a voice. Let
Right.
them know that, yes, someone will listen to you. And I think that's what a lot of them feel, that we're not going to. But I know we're getting out of time almost.
Yeah, we are, and I know you've got a big event you want to talk about.
So, yeah, if I don't promote my event, I won't be able to come back because I won't have any money.
You'll be a volunteer executive director.
Volunteer executive director, right. But our annual event comes up on Friday, October 12th. It's always up at the King Kamehameha Golf Club. It's always a sold-out event, which is amazing. If you belong to my board, and we have 15 board members, you have to be active and have a job, which is great. So I just came from Ace Printing, so you have the brand new invite in your hand. And this is all done in the house, which is great.
It's terrific.
Yeah, we run on an 11% operating cost, so it's pretty much unheard of. But Showers of Hope is an event that we have a pauhana on a Friday night, 5:30. You can always go to our website, Maui, C as in Charlie, J as in John, C as in Charlie.org. Well, the phone number is 808-986-8634. Really fun event. Always have a lot of opportunity. We have our board members do all the decor themselves and pay for it out of their own pockets. And when you go up there, it's like you're in a theater. They have, this year, there'll be raindrops dropping down and lights from the backstage. I mean, they go all out. They'll probably yell at me for giving all the decor out, but, watering cans with lights coming down, dripping rain, and showers of hope, it's important. That's any child that's been abused or neglected automatically feels hopeless. And the thing is, for us, we want to restore dignity, self-worth, hope. That's our mission. How do we heal a child that someone is broken? And you and I have talked about it. Broken children will become broken adults unless someone heals them. And perfect opportunity is to do it when they're a child.
Right.
So,
well, congratulations, Paul. And what is this, your 6th anniversary there?
6th anniversary, yep.
Yeah.
I was on the board for 12 years prior, so I've been involved with the Friends for 18 years.
You certainly knew what you were getting into.
Yes. And I love every minute of it.
That's great. And I can see it in your face that this is not just a job. This is a life.
Yep.
For you. It's a way to... you're giving your all.
Yep.
It's that's what you're all about.
My son tells me, "Are you ever going to slow down?" And I tell him, when I slow down, something's wrong. You know what I mean?
Pay attention.
It's what drives me every day. And
Right.
it's making a difference in the life of a child is definitely important.
There's nothing more important.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Thank
Paul,
you,
for
Susie.
joining us.
Yeah.
And
thank Gary for the big chair.
Oh, yeah, right. I've never gotten one of those. I don't understand. Oh, boy. Anyway, thank you again, Paul, and good luck with your training session this afternoon.
Yes, thank you, Susie.
First of many, I hope, for you.
Oh, we've already
over the
done a
school
ton.
season. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
That's great.
Yep.
Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Give Paul and his staff a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Bayshard on East Oahe Way to see how they can help you with your building project. Today we visited with the Mental Health America of Hawaii Maui Branch Executive Director Danielle Bergen and with Paul Tonneson, the Executive Director of the Friends of the Children's Justice Center, and discussed some subjects that in a lot of areas people would shy away from. But I think we hit it head on, and hopefully all of you out there listening maybe got some information that could come in handy at some point in your life when you're discussing things with people or just listening to your friends. And there may be some signs out there that you could help. And if you have any questions, please give each of those agencies a call. You've got the mental health group at 242-6461, and you've got the Friends of the Children's Justice Center at 986-8634. We want to thank you for joining us today. Have a great week, everyone. Don't forget to join us again next week, same time, same place. Boy, the music hasn't even started. Am I way ahead?
Yes.
Oh, okay, well, I was way ahead. The Maui Nonprofit Directors Association's purpose is to provide an opportunity for nonprofit agency directors to gain personal and professional support through cooperative development activities. Maui Nonprofit Directors also provides an opportunity for networking to affect significant positive change in the community. Oh, there we go. Now we're down to 30 seconds. Please, again, as I said, join us next week or listen on 98.7 FM or 1110 AM as we interview and discuss what's going on with 2 other member agencies. Until then, I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great week, everyone. Aloha.